Wow, it's dark in here. Wow, and now it's too
File
bright.
82702, Agent Rick Dicker interrogating.
Wow.
State your name, please.
Kari McKeon. It's like Kari, only with a K instead of a C and an A instead of an E, and only one R and an I instead of an IE.
Tell me about the incident.
Well, it started out like any normal sitting gig, you know, with the reassuring of the parent and all. Mrs. Parr, I can totally handle anything this baby can dish out. Can't I, little boo-boo boo? Who can handle it? Who can handle it? Mrs. Parr? Mrs. Parr? Oh, well, she knows you're in good hands. Now, who's ready for some neurological stimulation? It's time for cognitive development. Oh, who's the goo-goo baby? Where's the hiding, huh? That was really weird. Wait right here. Hello, Mrs. Parr. This is Kari. I have a question about Jack Jack. Can you call me? No! Jack Jack? Baby? Where are you? Where are you? Mrs. Parr, it's me. Jack Jack is fine, but weird things are happening and you need to tell me what to do, because I'm... How'd you get... We're gonna calm things down a bit now and look at flashcards. Won't that be fun? Triangle. Good. House. Good. Campfire. No! Don't panic! Baby on fire! Baby on fire! Good baby! Nice baby! Yes?
Is this the Parr's residence?
Yes! I'm Kari, the babysitter!
Well, hello, Kari. I am,
You're my replacement! Thank heaven you've come! What does that stand for?
For... sitter. Yeah, sitter. Originally, I was going to have initials for babysitter, but then I would have been going around wearing a big BS, and you understand why I couldn't go with that.
And you believed him.
The baby was exploding! You ever seen an exploding baby before, Mr. Dicker? What's that?
Have you told anyone else about this? Your parents?
Yeah, they thought I was being funny. But you believe me, don't you, Mr. Dicker?
Sure, kid.
I just wish I could forget the whole thing.
You will, kid. You will.